Anyone could build a powerful system in the cloud these days. It's almost easy. But building a smart system? That's a whole different ballgame. Today, we're going to talk about a really crucial shift in thinking. How to treat cost not as some bill you pay later, but as a feature you engineer right from the start. Let's dive into what it means to be a frugal architect.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. Would you ever leave your car running in the driveway, all day, all night, 24/7, just in case you might need to go to the store? No way, right? That would be crazy. And yet, that's pretty much exactly what a ton of us are doing with our cloud architecture. And it's just silently, constantly leaking money.
And here's the really wild part. The biggest enemy, the biggest drain on your cloud bill, it's not what you use during your busiest moments. Nope. It's the complete opposite. It's the silence. It's all those hours your resources are just sitting there, doing nothing, waiting for something to happen. That idle time, that's the real villain of this story.
So how in the world do we fight this invisible cash drain? Well, it all starts with a change in mindset, a big one. We have to stop thinking of cost as some number we look at the end of the month. It can't be an afterthought. It has to be a core principle, a real feature we design for, right from day one.
And that, right there, is the heart of being a frugal architect. Now, let's be super clear. This is not about being cheap. It's about being elegant, it's about being efficient, it's about truly understanding that your cloud bill is basically a report card for your architecture. A frugal architect builds systems that are just as powerful and just as reliable as any other, but they are also way smarter about how they use resources.
All right, so that's the big idea, the mindset. But how do we actually do it? What does it look like in practice? Well, it really boils down to having the right toolkit, which is built on 3 key pillars of design. Let's dig into them.
Pillar number 1, you gotta eliminate idle time. This means moving away from those always-on servers and embracing things like event-driven architectures and serverless, stuff that only spins up when it actually has work to do. Number 2, reduce your operational load. Seriously, stop reinventing the wheel. Use managed services whenever you can and let the cloud provider do the heavy lifting for you. And finally, number 3, optimize your data. Stop trying to force a single database to do everything. Pick the right data store for the way you actually need to access your data.
Okay, I know that's a lot of theory, so let's make this super concrete. We're going to look at a classic case study, a simple batch processing pipeline. We'll see what the old way looks like versus the new, frugal way.
So, on one side, you've got the traditional pipeline. Picture a server that's always running, 24/7. It's just sitting there, constantly asking, is there new data yet? How about now? Anything for me now? It's basically a paid intern who spends 99% of their time staring at the wall. Then, on the other side, you've got the on-demand pipeline. This thing literally doesn't even exist until a file shows up. The arrival of that file is the event that kicks the whole process into gear.
And this is where the real engineering trade-offs come into play. Look, the frugal event-driven pipeline is a massive win on cost. I mean, we're talking about paying for a few seconds of compute versus paying for a full 24 hours of a server just sitting there. But it's not a free lunch. It is a more complex system to build and manage. You have to think about things like cold starts, that tiny bit of lag the very first time something runs. A frugal architect sees this table, understands the give and take, and makes a very intentional decision.
So you might be asking, okay, how do I start actually doing this? I'm going to give you a super practical checklist, 5 simple questions you can take with you to your very next design meeting to start challenging the status quo.
All right, here we go. Before you build anything new, ask your team these 5 things. Question 1. Does this thing really need to be on 24/7? Make someone justify it. 2. Is there a managed service out there that could do this job for us probably more efficiently? 3. Did we pick this database because it's the right one for this specific job or just because it's the one we always use? Be honest. 4. Can we re-architect this thing to be triggered by an event instead of constantly pulling for work? And finally, the big one, number 5. Have we actually talked about the trade-offs? Are we making a conscious choice here, like maybe accepting a tiny bit of latency to slash our costs by 90%?
And really, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. This is not about being cheap. It's not about spending less. It's about wasting nothing. That's the key. It's a philosophy of engineering elegance, making sure that every single CPU cycle, every byte of storage, every dollar you spend is actually doing real valuable work. So, here's my challenge to you. Sometime this week, I want you to go find just one always-on component in one of your systems, and just ask the question, what would it take to make this thing wake up only when it's needed? Seriously, just thinking through that exercise, that could be your very first step on the path to becoming a frugal architect.